So you're playing Genshin, you're doing some 10 pulls, and while you don't get a 5-star, you do get 4-star Lan Yan. Now, what do you get with Lan Yan besides another kind of Chiori? Well, Lan Yan is a catalyst building Anemo user, and in this video, we're going to look at 2 different ways that you can run Lan Yan. Now, before we look at the 2 different ways that you can run Lan Yan, let's talk about her kit real quick. So something to note with her is that even though she's a catalyst user, she does not have the same range in her auto attacks as other catalyst users. She does have to be very, very close because she's kind of using these like rounded sickles. I don't know what the actual word for them are. Put it down in the comments and let me know, because we all know I'm great with these things. So instead of throwing like an orb, or in Sitlali's case, a pillow at the enemy, she has to be very, very close for her normal attacks and her charge attack as well, which kind of just does like an Anemo damage around her. Now, she will do Anemo damage. We're not talking about shenanigans with physical stuff on catalyst users. She is going to be doing Anemo damage through her normal attacks. Now, her skill has a tap and a hold. If we just tap it, she is going to kind of dash forward, hitting enemies, doing a backflip as well, dealing Anemo damage and gaining a shield. Now, this shield does mean that she is our first, and I think still only Anemo shield user in the game. Now, you might have also noticed the shield is not Anemo colored. There is nothing Anemo about it. This is obviously a Hydro shield. That is because her shield can do elemental absorption. If you have an element on an enemy and you hit that enemy with her E, then it's going to absorb that element, making a shield. So if we were up against an enemy that had Pyro on them, it'd be a Pyro shield or an Electro shield, things like that. It's not going to always be a Hydro shield. The Hydro comes from these slimes. And if you hold it down, then you can aim it. And then, of course, kind of blink to that spot. That's why I said that she's another Chiori in the intro. Now, something else that you might have noticed is that whenever we first hit E, her skill does not go on cooldown immediately. That is because if you tap E again or a normal attack, she's going to throw her Anemo sickles at the enemies. It is going to swirl around them, hitting them 2 more times. So you can follow up attack after you do the shield. And then her burst is going to do a large instance of Anemo damage with a fair good amount of grouping. And as you can see, it does a fair good amount of Anemo damage against these enemies. Now, let's look at her passives real quick, and then we're going to talk about the 2 ways to build her. Her first passive is simply going to be that her shield gets the elemental absorption whenever you use the E. That's what all of this means. The second one is going to be the elemental skill, and her burst deal increased damage equal to a % of her elemental mastery. Now, you might think that, oh, that means that we're going to build her elemental mastery because her shield scales off of elemental mastery. That is incorrect. Her shield actually scales off of her attack. So those are going to be the 2 ways that we build her: elemental mastery for damage or attack for a shield bot. First, we're going to start with elemental mastery, which means that she's going to be an on-field swirl driver. So now let's look at that exact build that we're using in this team. Now, Fischl, Coco, and Farina, these can be swapped out for different people. These are just kind of who I had in a team already. And I was like, let's just throw Lan Yan in there anyway. But it's still going to work very similarly. We are going to be running her with Sitlali's weapon, which is actually phenomenal for her. This is her best swirl weapon because it's going to give a ton of elemental mastery in the main stat, elemental mastery in the substats, and because she triggers a shield just like Sitlali, she can make full use of this weapon, giving a damage buff to your entire team. This is phenomenal for her. We are going to be running VV with her to kind of shred the elements that are going to be swirled, but also to get a damage buff through the swirl, and we're going to be running full EM across the board. This means that her shield is not super strong. We are mainly going to be using her as a swirl on-field driver, getting a ton of damage through her burst. So as you can see, we are going to be pairing her with off-field applicators of the elements, in this case, Fischl, Coco, and Farina. And Farina is also going to kind of give the buffing through her burst. Coco is going to kind of help heal our on-field character. Fischl is just doing Fischl things, doing odd stuff. Yes, you can probably do Oreo instead of Fischl and have a very, very good success. You can swap off Coco for some other characters, Farina for some other characters. You can do a lot of different teams with this. This is not necessarily her big team, right? This isn't like a main team for her. Typically, you want to have her in a team where you have somebody doing normal attacks because of some constellations that we'll look at later. But with her being our on-field Anemo driver, we just want her to be dealing damage, elemental mastery build, swirl damage. That's all that we're doing in this team. Now, if we want her to be a shield bot, if we want her to simply have a strong shield and that's kind of it, then we're going to have to change our build to full attack, meaning that we're either going to be running something like Skyward Atlas as her weapon, which is phenomenal. It's a standard weapon. You have a lot of chances to get this. It gives a ton of attack, which is great. You can also do, I think it's Dust of Memory, Memory of Dust. It's the like yellow geo looking one. I'll put it on screen right now. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. That's actually her best weapon in slot. You know, we want to be building attack for her on this. So like Flowing Purity can also be really, really good. During this, we are going to still be running VV, but we're going to swap all of those elemental mastery main stats over into attack main stats, giving her over 2,500 attack, meaning that her shield is going to be strong. In this team, we would be running her off-field as our Swirl Shredder, running her with somebody like Arlecchino or Nuvolette or a Yato, a Yaka, somebody that's going to be doing normal attacks because of the constellations, right? This is simply just going to be shield bot. We're just going to be swirling. We're going to be shielding. That's all that she's mainly going to be doing in this. This is just to give her a very, very strong shield, and that's mainly it on this. Now, I've been talking about the constellations. Let's actually look at them. Mine is C0. I do not have the constellations, but she is going to be phenomenal with her constellations. And her constellations can even allow her to stay up with some of the more premium shield users like Geodaddy and Layla and Sitlali. Now, her first one is just going to kind of give her like an extra instance of damage. The rings are just going to do, it's going to have another instance of the rings. Her C1, not super great, increase her own personal damage. C2, when their active party members' normal attacks deal damage, 40% of the shield's damage absorption will be restored, meaning that you will increase the amount of damage that the shield can take. So as you're doing normal attacks, it is going to refresh the shield or restore the shield's kind of HP, allowing it to take more damage. This is what I meant by having a normal attack user on the team. Number 3 is going to be a normal one. Number 4, after she uses her burst, elemental mastery of all party members increased by 60. So that means that she can buff somebody like Arlecchino in a vaporized team or a melt team. Number 5 is going to be normal. Number 6, gains an additional charge on her skill. You might have noticed that the skill shield duration does not last as long as the cooldown. There's a 3 seconds, like 3.5 second difference between the cooldown and the uptime. This helps mitigate that, right? Because you'll be able to use 2 charges of the shield. So just as one is about to fall, you'll be able to use your second one to get it right back up, dealing another instance of swirl, shredding damage, stuff like that. This is going to be a really, really good constellation. This is what I meant by it allows her to kind of compete with some of the more premium shield users like Geodaddy and Sitlali and Layla, because in Layla we trust. Now, I do want to, I think, make either a Lan Yan, a Yato team, like an electrocharged Yato team with Lan Yan, or I'm going to heavily invest into making Lan Yan an on-field swirl driver. I really, really like Lan Yan's playstyle. I really, really like her, kind of how she's different from the other Catalyst users. She does get the shield. Her burst can do a ton of damage. I think that I want to make her a damage dealer just because why not, right? I play the niche stuff. Why not? I think that that's how I'm going to play Lan Yan if I take the time to invest a ton into her. So let me know down below. Cookie has green hair. I have green hair, and I'll see you in the next one.